On the podcast this week, we find out how quickly we can sack Claire and save ourselves a fortune using AI. Welcome to the Profit Cash Growth Podcast. This is the podcast for 6- and 7-figure business owners who are looking to grow a financially successful business. My co-host, Claire Hancock, is a finance director, chartered accountant and entrepreneur. And every week, I'll be exploring guidance and frameworks designed to help you increase your profits, improve your cash flow and grow your business. So, Claire, I'm going to cheer you right up this morning because we're going to be talking about jacket potatoes.
Oh, we really? I love a jacket potato.
Do you know why we're going to talk about jacket potatoes? Because for some reason, we've gone on some sort of wild jacket potato renaissance is all I can say about it, isn't it? Since we've moved offices, we seem to really want jacket potatoes for lunch. And
we're surrounded by jacket potatoes.
Yeah,
places.
can you just tell the audience what we've done in the last couple of weeks around testing jacket potatoes?
We're not.
I can think of three
we're
good
not
ones.
that.
You're not that
loserish, but no, we do love a jacket potato. So we've gone around a few places. Subway, you had one at Subway, didn't you?
Well, don't say that yet. So we started with a local cafe, kind of a charity cafe type place, wasn't it?
Brilliant jacket potato.
Brilliant.
Straight out
Absolutely
the
superb.
jacket potato oven, crispy, fluffy inside, butter. They salted it. It was delicious.
Yes. Then we went to the MK Don Stadium where there's a Spudman type van there. You know these guys there's a few of them knocking up now that do really good TikTok videos.
But this guy is famous on TikTok in the local area.
He is.
He's got a huge following.
He is. And
we were live on TikTok. Literally, because Friday is I found out Fridays is their special day. So he will be in the van on Fridays streaming live onto TikTok as people order their jacket potatoes and he has a chit chat with them.
Yeah, that was cool.
I can't believe people are
famous
watching that.
to a few, as they say. So we had
sorry, people are watching other people order jacket potatoes.
I know.
It's bizarre what people watch these
TV
days.
on Gogglebox and whatever else. It's like everyone just is. But they say this with social media content. This is a good one for when you grow your business. Like there's nothing that people engage with more than kind of a behind the scenes of, or a day in the life of. These just do really well. I'm just obsessed.
Real life, unpolished stuff.
Yeah, people want to see the bad things, not just in a world where all we feel like we see is the good things. So we had jacket potato with cheese and beans there, didn't we? And we had one each, and they were massive, weren't they? It was wild, like the weight of the beans and the cheese. So we decided we're just going to share them moving forward. And then I said to you that Subway obviously have started doing jacket potatoes. So I sent you a text message the other day, didn't I, at lunchtime saying, just testing it out for us, not as good as the others we've had so far. It was kind of a real tick in the box one, about the same price, but the potato, I swear, has been kind of like microwaved. It wasn't great. And Subway's ingredients are never brilliant. And then you said to me, this is why it's gone mad. And we'll talk about why are jacket potatoes having this research.
I don't know where you're going with
just think about this. But then we sat because you said to me, where else was it that have started jacket potatoes? And we sat there the other night with your sister in Wetherspoons, and on the menu, jacket potatoes all of a sudden are a new thing there. So everywhere you go at the moment, like the jacket potato is making this revival,
because it's so cheap to do. It's like a real cheap staple. And I think it started getting a bit of a bad rap maybe like 10 years ago. People started switching to sweet potato things, didn't they, instead? And now we're just going back to like basic wholesome food that is good for us. So jacket potatoes are back.
Yeah. So that's my shit chat for the week. Have you got anything?
No,
not at all.
I can't beat a jacket potato.
No, you can't. Let's move on to this week's news story of the week then. So this week, Claire, I picked out this because it's my industry, or one of my industries, and the headline very provocatively said, "It's unthinkable that AI could replace Rightmove, says the portal's boss."
Is anything unthinkable?
Exactly. I thought
don't think it is.
The reason I pulled this out is because, when somebody goes so far in that direction, there's no it's not a balanced response from the Rightmove boss, is it? It's unthinkable, it'd never happen. It feels to me like there's this underlying fear that it's already happening. Do you know what I mean? Or something. So their share price is really has tanked recently on the back of a couple of things. It mainly tanked because, if anybody doesn't know this, because this is really probably not well known, but Rightmove, I think, has the highest operating profit margin in the UK, or certainly on the UK stock market. I think their operating profit margin is over 70%. That's net profit. That's not GP. And they have an insane profit level. So it's a huge place for institutional and investor money that wants steady returns. And Rightmove have kind of cornered the market. I can tell you, with a bunch of estate agency businesses that there is, you wouldn't dream of not using Rightmove, and therefore when they come to you every year and put their price up by 10% rather than 3 or 4%, you've got nowhere to go with it. And this, the industry's constantly up in arms about how Rightmove exploit estate agents and all that kind of thing. So there's this interesting thing that the dynamic that's happening, which is actually in the estate agent community, they would really back screwing Rightmove over. They absolutely would. They think they've taken the mick out of them for years on end, and you can't go out to the market saying we're making 70% net profit out of you, and guess what? We're going to put your price by 10%.
Don't bite the hand that feeds you, though. That's the risk with that, because 95% of your inquiries are driven through
nothing like that. Maybe 50 to 60%.
No,
probably.
Come on, 95% of people
like
search for houses on Rightmove.
Nothing like that. Absolutely nothing like that. I would say, probably 50% through Rightmove. It's 20 to 30% through Zoopla, a tiny slither through on the market, and probably 10 or 15% direct through our own website. So Rightmove they're not more than 50%. So it's, I just think it's interesting. So they've also built this ChatGPT app, which I don't really understand. ChatGPT have launched an app store, and Rightmove have put an app on there for it. What do you think? Do you think people are going to start searching for properties using AI? I mean, the idea that your AI agent can find you a property better than you browsing yourself through Rightmove seems absolutely correct in my view.
But there still needs to be a place where houses for sale are listed that ChatGPT can search.
Yeah, otherwise, which is every agent's website. We've all got our own website, so all it will do, it will do the agent work for you.
But there's an element
Rightmove
of
is a consolidator, and ChatGPT becomes the consolidator.
I see Rightmove becoming a little bit like what Shopify is to online sellers or Etsy. It's not I think in the future, it's not going to be about necessarily this place where buyers congregate, which is what the issue is now. There's so many buyers on Rightmove that as an agent, you want your listings on there.
Yeah.
But what it will become is like a Shopify, Etsy, like an easy way for estate agents and stuff to put their properties on the market and make it searchable by ChatGPT or other AI platforms.
I think,
because it's like
with AI, you don't need to make it easy for AI to search. AI will go and find.
But it's the quality of your website and things like that as well that will make a massive difference. And will, particularly smaller independent agents, do they want to maintain whole website with their own properties on, or do they the fact that they can use Rightmove?
Honestly, right. But this is an understanding of the industry. There isn't a single agent out there.
Yeah, but we've got to stop thinking about the way things were and think about how they could be under an AI world.
Yeah, I think the misunderstanding about Rightmove isn't a replacement for an estate agent's website. Every estate agent I know has their website with their own listings on it. It's not a replacement. It's just they cornered the market, and they basically, it's a bit like Google. They grabbed the buyer, like in the same way that Google grabbed the search market.
Yeah.
You can't then go and advertise on Bing.
Because it's an aggregated place, whereas I don't have to trawl through 10, 15, 20 local agent websites. I can just go to Rightmove and look at everything. However, Rightmove could just simply respond to that by putting searchable features on there that are easily searchable by AI, that consistently return solid, reliable results, because every individual agent is going to have their website developed in a different way. And therefore, how searchable the information is to AI and how accurate AI interprets that information and displays it to the user is going to wildly vary depending on the quality of the website. So therefore, actually, I think that Rightmove's selling point would be that we are so integrated with AI and we make sure that all of the properties are fully searchable as if they were on our platform.
And that's the route they're going down and why their share price dropped, because they've announced that all those juicy 70% operating profits are not going to go to their shareholders this year, because they're going to be reinvesting absolutely millions in AI this year.
I think it's a smart decision.
Try and turn the ship. I just think it would be interesting, because as an estate agent, what happens if suddenly, I've just said to you, I know our split 50% come from Rightmove, but in fairness, that has been dropping. I've not really thought about this. But what happens if just naturally we suddenly, because the reality is that we'll not get the inquiry from ChatGPT, we'll get it from our website. So all that will happen is the balance will start to get more from our website and less from Rightmove.
Yes. Will ChatGPT or whatever it is just have a button that says contact the agent?
I don't know, but theoretically it will serve it up through our website, and then someone will just book a viewing directly through our website like they can currently. Because the other thing you have to remember from a consumer perspective, it's better for them to go to our website because they can book the viewing direct. They can't book a viewing through Rightmove.
No, but they should be able to book, or AI would be able to book that viewing for them, because it should be able to coordinate with their personal calendar.
But AI would have to take them to our website, so why would they even bother going to Rightmove? They'll just
I'm not saying they will go to Rightmove. I'm agreeing with you that they'll go to your website.
So I think this is going to be. I'm fascinated because I don't have an answer one way or another with this. I just think this is all up in the air at the moment. And this is like one space where theoretically AI should be able to do a phenomenal job of your property searching, way better than Rightmove. And the thing with Rightmove as well is they failed to innovate for 20 years. They're so stale because they've rested on the laurels. They've paid all their money back to shareholders, taken the money from estate agents and not invested in their platform over years. So they're not actually, their tech is not that advanced at all.
No, I totally agree with you because, I mean, we haven't really been searching for houses, but we look because we're in property, so we look all the time. And there's certain things that would always catch our eye. For example, corner plots, because we always think about development opportunity on corner plots. Or is there a big garden? Yeah. Or are we overlooked? Because that's a big thing for us. We would never move to a house that had any sort of view into our garden by any neighbour.
No,
and just those types of
naked,
features... You wish.
I do.
Those types of features are not yet searchable, and it feels like they haven't really advanced the search features for a number of years. Things like, does it have a utility room? I don't think that's like a searchable feature on Rightmove.
And what I can say is that their internal culture is one of arrogance. It's a bit like dealing with News International.
I went for a job interview
there. They're hugely arrogant.
I went for a job interview there.
Because they're dominant.
Must have been maybe like 15 years ago, and it was for like I think it was like maybe like a finance analyst, a financial controller style role. And I generally have always been really confident in interviews. I do quite well in them, so I'm not somebody that gets nervous. But my God, when the finance director came in, she made me feel like I was the smallest person in the world. Like I should be so lucky that she had chosen to grace me with her presence in that room.
They breed
and I just came out of there thinking, oh my God, I do not want to work here.
And they've treated their very clients, the people that pay them, which is only the estate agent, that's the only source of revenue they have, they've treated them with contempt over the years. So because of that arrogance, because of the dominance. So anyway, we'll see how that one plays out over the years. But I thought it was an interesting one because he's, like I said, the boss has come out saying it's unthinkable. So not even possible, just literally don't even think about it, is what he said. Not even worth thinking about. So there we go. Right, let's move on to this week's deep dive, Claire. So, you can see what I've done here. I've segued this quite well. From AI in Rightmove to AI in finance functions. Today, you're going to tell me when I can sack you, I guess.
Right? When can you get rid of your accountant?
When can I get rid of you? When can I get rid of an accountant? When will AI be my finance function? What's this going to look like? And you're going to break this into a few different kind of the functions that are key to a business's finance function, aren't you? And what's currently happening with AI and where it's going and all the rest of it. Like under the hood of what's really going on. Because if we read the headlines, as far as I'm aware, we best start planning, Claire, because you're out of business in the next 5 years. Is that's the headline, isn't it?
No, look, this came about because we've been thinking about the future of profit cash growth. And there's lots of new AI tools that people are talking about. And if you turn on LinkedIn, everyone's saying that, sack your accountant. Daniel Priestley in particular is convinced that accountants in 12 months' time will all be out of a job. And obviously, we've got boots on the ground every day working with this technology. But also, we're thinking about the future of what our business could look like, and there's a whole marketplace full of accountants at the moment, and I reckon probably about 80% of them are doing like the core accounting tasks, so bookkeeping, year-end tax returns, that type of work. And we were talking about this from like our positioning in the marketplace and how we compete strategically. At the moment, we're in that niche of probably about 20% of accountants that are doing true advisory services like we are, sort of FD/FC work. But what's going to happen to the 80% of accountants that are currently serving the mass market with transactional work and year-end accounts? Some of those will undoubtedly exit the marketplace, but some of those will now become advisory, and they'll upskill their businesses, they'll upskill their team, and they'll start competing with what we're doing. So that was kind of how this came about. Is I think there's probably about 5 to 10 years left until, yes, I do agree that the current accountant as we know it will be replaced by a machine, but I think that we're probably 10 years away from that happening.
And I don't know, I mean, obviously I've started to, for people that don't know, we're also launching a piece of software in the accountancy space, aren't we, Claire? And I'm kind of like driving parts of that forward, and that's given me a different view on like accountancy and the nuances within it. And oh my goodness, I mean, like I can't see how like AI could ever deal with the nuances aren't in the technology or the rules. The nuances are in human behavior.
Yeah.
And that's where I don't know how it could work with humans. It kind of works if you can make humans completely disappear from the process, but I don't believe that's ever going to be the case. I think humans are going to be somewhere involved in it at the point where they're doing the advice, whatever that is, or at the point where they've got to go and get the invoice. I mean, maybe in 30 years, humans will be completely eradicated. But the whole thing only works if the humans eradicated from start to finish, is the way I see AI with these processes. So I don't get it in the short term. But you're going to help me understand today, aren't you?
Yeah. So look, what we're going to do is we're going to run through what we've got in here. We've got 4 pieces of key technology that are working in the accountancy world at the moment that some of our audience may be using or might be interested in using. I'm going to give you a little bit of an update of where they are. Can you sack your CFO? Can you sack your bookkeeper? And can you sack your accountant? They're the questions that we're going to ask today.
All right.
Okay.
Where are we starting?
Well, I'm going to start first with the biggest piece of technology that I was incredibly excited about when this launched in December. And this was Xero launched AI bank reconciliations. So bank reconciliations is like a core part of a bookkeeper's role. You post all of your sales invoices and your bills, but then you have to go through and you have to match all the payments to it. So you have to say this payment was for this invoice, et cetera, and you go through and do that. And AI was launched in Xero so that you could essentially toggle it on so it would be able to reconcile your banks for you.
Okay.
And it would do a few things. You could build some rules in. So you could build a rule that says if you see this value or this description, do this. Or it would try and predict what it thought should happen based on the behaviours that you performed previously on similar transactions.
Okay.
So in a nutshell, this is the worst piece of technology that Xero has ever launched.
Really?
It's absolutely shockingly bad.
So what did you have to do before, like for like a non-account, like if you had to just summarise the process before and the process, let's say the process they were trying to achieve, but obviously haven't quite delivered.
Okay, so you have all your bank transactions and so your bank statement, your transaction lines, that gets pulled into Xero automatically.
Yeah.
And that's on if anybody watching, listening has ever seen the Xero screen, that's what the left-hand side of the screen is telling you. They're all your bank transactions.
Yeah.
And what you're doing is you're matching those payments to invoices and bills that are already posted to Xero.
Okay.
So you're saying this customer has paid us and it matches to this sales invoice, or this money has gone out and it matches to this bill. So what it then does is it marks the bill as paid and posts the transaction onto Xero and everything's tied up nicely. Okay,
so from your assessment that you've just given me there, I would call this the absolute low-hanging fruit of AI, right? Because there's an example where you've got a start and an end point with no human involvement. So AI should be able to nail this, yeah?
When there's a 1-to-1 ratio, so
absolutely nail it.
You know, like a direct debit for one bill, absolutely fine. But what happens if a customer pays 10 invoices in the same bill?
And that's where it's falling down.
That's where it falls down, because what does it do if there's 2 invoices for the same value? Well, Xero just allocates it randomly. There's no logic to it. But more importantly...
But this isn't... So therefore, it's not artificial intelligence. It's just rule-based. Because where's the intelligence if it's not going, oh, there's 2 of the same invoice?
Okay, so there's 2 elements to it. You can build rules in that says, when you see this value, this description, apply this rule.
But that's not AI, is it?
No, that's rules-based.
Yeah.
And then you have the AI layer on top of that, which everything that's then left, Xero will try and look back at what you've done previously and apply the same sort of concept. So let's start with the rules-based thing. Generally, it works well, but for some reason, it just doesn't apply all the rules. There's no logic to it. So we've got rules set up where we still have to go in and click OK, apply that rule. And Xero's picked up that the rule should apply manually, but for some reason the system hasn't cleared it. So from that perspective, that's a bit pants.
Yeah.
But mostly where it's then guessing what it should do with a transaction, it's just doing all sorts. You know, for example, a Canva invoice. That's clearly, I would put that to maybe subscriptions, potentially marketing costs, or, you know, maybe software, something like that. Yeah. No, Xero decided that was cost of goods sold.
No,
So you can kind of
use it in your business.
Exactly. You know, there was a mortgage payment go out that it coded to bank charges.
That's just
because it had the bank name in it.
Just interest, isn't it?
Well, yeah.
Would it split? And on the mortgage, would it split up the interest and repayment?
Yeah.
Would it do that?
Yeah. So
it's just not now.
You might, on paper, it might look like your bank's reconciled because there's no outstanding transactions on Xero, but what you've got in the background is an absolute shit show of mess. Your balance sheet's going to be wrong, your P&L is going to be all over the place, but also then the risk that you're chasing customers that have already paid you because Xero's misallocated something, or you double pay a supplier's bill because Xero hasn't allocated it correctly.
Okay, controversial statement here. For a lot of this is what a lot of business owners would say, but for most accountants, wouldn't it be an absolute shit show and a mess with the human doing it anyway? So there's a difference between looking for improvement and just looking for replication.
Well, yeah, but obviously in my team, we've recruited higher skilled people. Like we don't have junior members of team in the office. So the starting sort of package in our office is a finance manager, like a qualified accountant finance manager. So therefore, we're not used to having those errors creep into our bookkeeping. But
I guess the point is that if AI can replace, could that be good enough to replace 90% of the accountant's work.
Yeah, if you've got a really bad bookkeeper, then just turn this on and get rid of a really bad bookkeeper.
Yeah, it'll be as bad, it'll be as messy, but it will just replicate the same. It's not going to be better, but it'll replicate it. So therefore, it's a replacement for a human, arguably, yeah.
Arguably,
but it's not. It's not what good looks like.
But look, our recommendation at the moment. This is actually something that this is what, off the back of this Xero feature being so bad. It's very binary. You can either turn it on or off. You can't say I want it turned on if there's a rule, and I want it turned on for these suppliers. It's that was what actually gave me some ideas for some differences that we've made to our software this week. But I think Xero really need to develop it so that you can turn it on for certain suppliers or certain transactions, certain rules, that type of thing. But also just a much easier way of reviewing what Xero has automatically done in the background.
So what's changed? Because when this, obviously Xero were really proud of this. This was a big fanfare. This was massive for them when they launched this. And actually, I've seen lots of LinkedIn posts from accountants who have been raving about it quite a bit. Has that shifted as they've learned that it's not as good as perhaps, because I've seen a lot of good stuff, I think.
I honestly think people are not using it, if I'm perfectly honest. I joined in some discussions about it and LinkedIn posts and stuff, and
if it's not right, people just don't.
A lot of people don't even know it's there as well. Yeah.
Okay, so AI is a long way from reconciling your bank, is what we're saying. Is step one. Okay, next one, processing invoices.
Processing invoices.
Come on, give me some.
So this is like, we're talking about Dext and Apron here in particular. They use OCR and like machine learning models, which is different to AI learning, which machine learning is more rules based.
Correct.
And it does build up over years. So the more documents that you put through, the machine does learn. Now they're switching on this AI feature that allows you to, for example, the AI will scan the invoice and try and produce a relevant description, for example, that you can put in the description box when it posts into Xero. And also it's now using AI to try and suggest the nominal code that the bill should go to.
So all these things are great kind of co-pilot things, because you're saying to me, okay, at the moment you type the description in, that's pre-populating. These are all things, they're efficiencies.
Honestly, most people just don't put a description in at the moment.
Why?
Because the PDF is always there. So as an accountant, if I'm ever drilling into the transactions and having a look at, why is this number X in my P&L, and I drill through to the transactions, 9 times out of 10, you're just going to navigate to the attachment. So even worse,
anyway. they've invested in a piece of this feature that doesn't really add any value.
What? It does add a bit of time. It does save a bit of time, actually, if you've got the descriptions there. But generally, nobody would take the time to type the description.
All right.
So they're adding
so it has added value because you now have descriptions where you didn't have it before.
Yeah. But anyway, my point is that as with like the Canva invoice, for example, it suggests wild things, predict cost of sales. It does all sorts of things like that as well. But also, what it lacks is the nuances of the type of business. So, for example, it can't understand why an accountancy firm buying batteries, that for us is like a office administration cost. But if it's an electrical wholesaler that happens to sell batteries, then those batteries are actually their stock. Yeah. And that's the nuance that it lacks in the background, that an individual's got that knowledge about the business and can make those decisions, but the AI just doesn't quite have that background knowledge yet.
Yeah.
So it needs to find a way of sort of incorporating that in. It just seems to be applying the same rules to every organisation, not taking into account the history of this organisation, what trade it's got, what industry it's in, all of that type of information. So, I mean, this is definitely much slicker. In terms of the accuracy of like Dext and Apron, I'd say you're up there with like 95% of the invoice is like you can literally just post. You're just checking, posting. But there are still some nuances that you need to be careful of.
Yeah. And I guess that, it's difficult because if stuff goes to the wrong place and the business owner, spots it and like he's not, you can't sit there and go, it wasn't me, it was the AI.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you look crap, don't you? So it's like you can't blame that. So you do want it to be right because your firm is taking the responsibility for it.
Yes. And we're a little bit more relaxed about the processing of invoices because we then have the deep dive when we're preparing the management accounts. We'll check through all of that data. But the bank reconciliation is like a key control.
Yeah,
and it can't go awry.
Yeah, of course it is.
Okay, so we're now moving on to AI commentary on management accounts.
Okay.
So if you use a system like Sift.
Are we skipping the production of management accounts, which I'm sure a lot of businesses and accountants don't even do?
Well, yeah, I mean...
Is there anything around that?
You can produce a set of management accounts by clicking a button.
Okay.
But producing management accounts, i.e. making sure the data is correct, is a completely different process. There's not really anything in the background to support with the production of the management accounts yet.
The making sure the P&L is tidy and
the accuracy, the controls,
something
the
coming
checks.
now, isn't there?
So we're going to move on to the AI commentary on management accounts. And Sift, Fathom, DataRails, they're probably like the biggest packages that are used by CFOs, FDs, for example, for producing management account packs. They all now have a button where you can click and say add commentary.
Yeah.
Now, what that commentary is going to be is very binary. So it's going to read the numbers and tell you what your turnover is, for example. It will say, for the month of January, your turnover was this. It has increased by X amount from the month before.
So not applying in a real world scenario.
It can tell you what your growth is. It can tell you the growth percentage. It can tell you what your costs are. It can tell you what the biggest costs are for the month or the biggest change for the month. So it can do...
It's just reading your management accounts out to you
exactly,
like a podcast.
Exactly.
Okay.
So it can tell you what, but it cannot tell you why. And it cannot tell you what to do next.
So the big benefit is it means that I could review my management accounts in the gym on a podcast audio.
Yes.
Yep. So I don't have, so it saves me some time than sitting there scrolling through. I could just read it to me.
Yeah. You wouldn't necessarily have to look at them.
Yep.
You could
tell me how my business
have some AI commentary and then But most business owners can read their P&L, read their management accounts and sort of understand what's happening. They're able to say how much their turnover is and how much their growth is and what their costs are for the month. So AI is not really adding much to the business owner.
Yeah.
What an accountant should be doing is saying why those numbers have moved in the direction they are. And if they're good, what you need to do to implement that across other areas of your business. And if they're bad, what you need to do to fix it. So the what next is the important bit that the accountant should be focusing on. And just AI is just so, I haven't seen anything that is even remotely coming close to making suggestions about what next.
Surprises me that does, because actually a lot of the language stuff, like when you do writing things, it's actually where it's at its best. So I'm really surprised about that.
But again, it doesn't have the history of the business. You can sit in front of one.
But would it be good if could you build that out by building, something more custom that starts to really understand that business? Will that get better the more it comments on that business and the more you train it and coach it in a project?
But the recommendations that we're making are not just based off the numbers.
Right.
Okay, yes, if you look at a business and the margins consistently dropping, as an accountant, you've got this bank of okay, these are the things that could be deployed. But the real key is understanding the business. So even take your estate agency, we've got other estate agency clients.
Yeah.
The issues that you're having may look similar in the numbers, but the root cause is different.
Do you think that if you were to record and transcribe and upload every board meeting, every strategy meeting, everything that you had with that client over a period of time, that within 3 months that commentary would be delivered
not 3
far
months,
better?
No. But yes, that is why we record every single meeting and we save the transcription.
You've got to train your own model. You've got to.
You've got to train it.
You get out what you put in, type thing.
That's kind of what I'm trying to get across, is that AI is only as good as the information that it's had fed into it. And what it doesn't have is those WhatsApp messages that I've had with a business owner, and the fact that I've trawled the business owner's LinkedIn account to find out what they're focusing on, where they're going. I've had a look at the company's website. AI, at the moment, when it's looking at accounts, it's looking at the numbers in isolation. Whereas a good finance director, let's not call it an accountant, let's be fair to what it is, a good finance director has got all of this peripheral sort of macro information about the business owner, the marketplace, the overall global economy, all of those types of things that feed into why profit might be dropping, why sales might be going up.
So this is, as I understand, where the likes of people like Salesforce and HubSpot are going to absolutely excel, because what they're doing is they are connecting all the dots across the business, from accounts through to marketing, through to operations, through to the sales, through to everything. And they're saying, their strapline now is very much around, why would you buy a book and tear out, 3/4 of it, that type of thing. You can read the whole book with their system. So there's massive opportunity, because I think that if the system can access all of the data for all of the business on an ongoing basis, then it will get to a place where that'll be pretty impressive.
Yeah, I do agree. In the future, definitely. Yeah. So AI commentary on management accounts, it's maybe got a basic use of explaining what is happening. It cannot replace your CFO, which moves us nicely onto the next one, which is AI as a CFO. And I've seen lots of LinkedIn posts, people saying, I built this AI bot that can replace your CFO, sack your CFO.
Yeah.
And I'd say with this one, so it's hard to quantify, but it's definitely not there yet for all of the reasons that we've just discussed. So you can absolutely put your management accounts into ChatGPT and see what you get. Because the issue with LLMs is they're trained on a massive mixed quality of data. So for example, if you put your management accounts into ChatGPT, You might give it some base information. You might say we're an electrical wholesaler, we're based in this part of the country, this is our goals. But the source data that it's going to find out what it needs to do next as an accountant, it's going to go and search the internet and all of a sudden, like in literally seconds, train itself on accounting knowledge, isn't it? That's what it's going to do. But where's it getting that information from? Is it getting that information from a blog written by a bookkeeper that actually doesn't know what they're talking about? Was it an A-level case study that somebody happened to publish online? Or was it something that the CFO Centre wrote and actually you can really rely on it?
How do you know that what you're reading trust?
So the quality of the information going into the LLM and how the bot gets trained in the first place on the bigger learning of how to be an accountant, how to be a CFO is kind of like the crux of the issue, that you can't pin that bot down to say only go to these trusted sources.
But you're already like making me realise where, they always say that when technology takes jobs, it makes more jobs than it takes. And you're showing me where this gap is. And the gap is between, we've got the raw AI and we've got the outcome here. And there's an entire industry between it, which will train and feed in niches these AIs to be able to actually deliver an exceptional level. And that's the bit that's missing at the moment, isn't it?
Yeah.
And that's where I think every organisation is going to pop up for every niche, for every business. Well, because if you had the AI you had the accountancy AI, then it would do what it's supposed to do. But you haven't.
There's two bits of it though, isn't there? There's training the accountant bot to be an accountant, be a CFO, and the quality of the training that goes into it for that. Yeah. But then there's also the business information. And that is the major piece that the systems are lacking at the moment, is even when you have like the likes of Sift and Fathom, which are specialist finance systems, they don't have the business information to add context to the results that are actually put out there. They just are not there yet.
But the reality is that it's all available, isn't it?
Yeah.
We've just not aggregated it together. We don't yet have a way of pulling that stuff into one place.
So much information though.
It is, but it could all be captured.
I think the only time it can be captured is when all communication is captured. So you either need to be very strict with all communication must be written so that the system can track it. So only ever accept like minuted meetings, so recorded meetings where everything's covered, or everything on email. It means none of those WhatsApp messages, none of those voice notes from customers, no telephone calls, nothing like that unless it can be captured. Or you need to have a microphone fitted to you permanently.
That's what I had my hand up to about to say. I said, have you seen the programme Severance? I can see a world where it's in the business's best interest that within their policy and their employment contracts, the second you walk through that door, everything's recorded inside that building. Everything's recorded. Every conversation, it just goes straight to the central server. So you've got this brain, this AI brain of the organisation that is hearing every conversation that's going on everything. But the problem is, for this to work, it actually does need everything, doesn't it? It needs every conversation, every nuance, everything that's gone on to connect every dot. Now, when you do that, it's unbelievable. Because I can't believe how like some of the stuff this can do in terms of analysis, like I've had before, I've fed it 3,700 like pages of transactional data to do with like house prices over a 10-year period, and just said, tell me what house prices have done in a summary per year, and it can just do it.
But it can tell you what has happened. But
yes, it can. Yeah,
it didn't tell you why.
No.
That's the piece that it's missing, and
absolutely.
That's where it would have to look at the tax legislation, the economic environment, what was happening with consumer confidence, what was happening with like general trends in like the workplace, and all of that type of stuff.
But I guess it does have access to all the macro stuff as well in many ways. It's kind of like, but
you
there needs to be a place for the human.
You didn't tell it to do that. You said, tell me what has happened in the data. You didn't say, tell me what's happening in the data, add some context, and please tell me why.
Actually, and if you do ask it that, it will do that. Whether it's right or not is a different question, but it will do that. It will give context to
because
why.
Often when it's telling you why, it's just rehashing somebody else's.
It's looking at the news.
No, it's probably just it's trying to find somebody that has already done that and published that article online, and it will rehash that.
Yeah. Pattern recognition, and then it's creating its own narrative from the patterns.
No, it's not even necessarily creating its own narrative. It will just rehash that article, but that article could have been from 5-10 years ago, and it often the information that it's rehashing is out of date and doesn't actually relate to your data.
I think it's a bit better now.
No, it's not. It's not.
Well, I use
Challenge
it every day. I will.
Challenge it.
Well, if it's not, it will be better than that pretty quickly. So yeah, blink and you'll miss it type thing. But yeah, okay. So we're not going to use AI for accountancy. Is that basically where we're at?
I mean, look.
I think humans get in the way, and they will do for the next 10 to 20 years is the problem at the moment.
Make sure that you've got Dext and Apron. It really can just help get some, just speed things up a little bit. It's still not replacing somebody completely. I'm still not at the point where we can trust anything to sort of go through the system fully automated, but we're using it to help make small wins, but we as yet have not seen any significant time savings from the AI tools. We spend as much time checking as we would have spent doing the original task in the first place.
Yeah, you said an interesting word there, which was trust. And I think that's the problem in the accountancy space, and the same with the legal space, is I think like, I don't know when or where those roads collide, where actually they can go, yeah, we can trust this, because it's such a high trust environment that until you can get there, you can't really let go of the reins. It's very, very difficult, isn't it?
Yeah.
Interesting. Well, thanks for that, Claire. Fascinating. Glad to know that we've got some income for the foreseeable future. And can you keep me updated, please? I'd like to know. Thanks. Right, let's move on to this week's Profit Cash Growth Extra. So from AI to something definitely very human, it's a TV recommendation this week, isn't it? We'd love this.
Oh, we did. We literally binge watched it in like 2 nights, didn't we?
What was it?
Being Gordon Ramsay.
It's called Being Gordon Ramsay on Netflix.
It was brilliant.
Yeah, it was brilliant. It was really nice because it was we're businessy people, so we like it when if you can infuse reality TV with business challenges, it becomes really interesting, and that's basically what it was, wasn't it?
It followed him as he was opening his. Oh God, where was it?
Bishopsgate.
Bishopsgate. I should know that because
6 restaurants at the top of Bishopsgate. The biggest thing he's ever done. £20 million investment.
Ended up way over budget, didn't it? But anyway, yeah, it essentially followed him. He was opening 5 restaurants. He took the top 3 floors of Bishopsgate in central London, which is obviously a humongous skyscraper overlooking all of London. So mega money went into that. And yeah, it followed him as he took the top 3 floors and was trying to get the restaurants open and the sort of the challenges he was having. He was very open about the financials of it, which I thought was really interesting. The difficulties of what it takes to run a global business. Yeah. And
it was kind of a bit like, it was biography kind of fused with this particular project at the moment, which I quite liked. So it kept diving all around history, and then back to this project that's right now, and then back to history, and then interviews, and so it's a real fused mix of interestingness is what I would describe it as. I really enjoyed it.
It was really,
check it out.
Really good.
Being Gordon Ramsay on Netflix. So thanks for joining us for another week's podcast. As always, if you feel like you might have outgrown your accountant and you'd like to work with Claire and the team at Profit Cash Growth, you can nip over to the website profitcashgrowth.com. Remember, as always, please dive back through the podcast. Loads of good episodes, one every single week that we pop out there. And just share this with any business owner friends that you've got. Pop it on a text message, send them the link. And don't forget also to click the follow button in your app that you're listening to the podcast so you get alerts when it comes out each week. And as always, got some exciting stuff next week, so do join us, because if you're a bit of a worrier, then we're going to help you with that, and we'll see you again next week.